Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dana B. with Scotty S. and Charlie M. We are the Mountain Patriots Educational Ministries. We are the 3%. And we want to say hello to everybody on primary election day today. Did anybody know that today was primary election day? We're going to talk about that a little bit as well. But before we get started, we want to make sure that people know that we want Mountain Patriots to become kind of like your home source for what's going on, what's happening in the community, what we see happening. But we don't just take the ideas that we have ourselves. We want to make sure that we talk to everyone. And last night we had an excellent meeting in our meeting house, and we had people from all kinds of walks of lives giving us their ideas and their thought process. And then we kind of mix them all together with the blender and come out with whatever we need to talk with. But we've been around a little over 50 months. I'm going to move this over here, and I want to point out our homepage. Go to mtnpats.com. That's mountainpats.com. And here you're going to find just about everything you need from the 7 different ministries that we have, and we do need help, and you'll hear why today. The affiliates that we have, the Wake Up Winchester, and of course, we keep our calendar up to date, so you know exactly what's going on all over Frederick County. We also have Rick Choi's book called The Thinking Prepper, and we're going to talk to you a little bit today about why you need this book. We also have all of our videos on here. The most important book that we follow is the Bible. And our slogan or our motto in the Bible is, "And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." That's John 8:32. Every meeting we do, we make sure that we incorporate this at the beginning and at the end. Our mission is here. Please help us if you can donate. That really helps keep things going. It's hard. I get it. It's hard at times like this to go, wow, here's somebody else to donate to. But we are local, and we want to make sure that we get this stuff out to you. And of course, we have all of our episodes. Orange Strong is in here because we deal with companies and patriot groups that are all over the United States. There's our think tank report, Honey Badger report that'll tell you everything that you need to know when it comes to all of the laws and the candidates that are running. That's from our good friend Amanda Chase. We'll give you updates on what's happening in the sad state of what's happening in Venezuela. There's over 70,000 people missing, folks, so pray for them. Our calendar, of course, is here. And last but not least, we want you all over Winchester and Frederick County to be wearing Mountain Patriots gear. Excellent material, excellent stuff, great logos, design it yourself, but pick up a shirt. They're not expensive, and show your true colors on who you are from Frederick County. And also, we're looking for people to join us as members. So jump on here, contact us, let us know who you are. We'll get back in touch with you. And of course, we'd love to have you join Mountain Patriots. So I'm going to turn it over to Charlie and Scott. I'm going to turn it over to Scott first, now that I've introduced us, and I'm going to ask him to take us in with a prayer today to get us started, because we are a ministry. Scott, would you be kind enough, my friend, to start us off with a prayer?
Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this time. We just ask for your blessings upon us, Lord, and keep that hedge of protection around us and keep us in the hollow of your hand. In blessed name of Christ, amen.
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 Thank you,
Did my
Scott.
camera go out on this?
Your
It did.
camera went out on it. That's okay.
I have no idea how to get it back.
You look really good. Okay, you look very handsome today.
Probably the best I've looked.
If you figure it out as we go along, a lot of times there's a little icon at the bottom that'll do it, or sometimes it's inside the phone in your settings. So, as you all know, it's not just Scott. A lot of us are having problems with technology. If you're having problems with technology, let us know. It could be your phone, it could be your internet, it could be your printer. And there's a lot of cyber stuff that's happening right now. So it's not just you. So Charlie,
Let us know.
take it away?
Let us know, but don't expect us to fix it.
Yeah, we can't fix it, but we can, we want to know. If you're having troubles with it too. We've had a lot of people reach out to us because they've been sick. Their blood pressure is high. There's a lot of things going on, has to do, we feel, with chemtrails, the food, the water, and so forth. But we're going to cover some of that today. So, Charlie, I'm going to let you lead us in on the questions and kind of go from there at being election day today.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you, Father.
Um, and welcome everybody. What Mountain Patriots is basically about, and it's in our name, is education. Not education just of children. It's the education of you and I, me rather. I need some grammar education. Uh, and and what's going on, what we know, we want to share with everybody. It's also on the platform of uh, In God We Trust, and it's in the book.
Yes.
We are a spiritual group. That's why we call them ministries. But we've got a handful of areas that we're focusing on at the moment. You know, like Dana has there, and it's on our website, is our 7 ministries. I'm not going to go through those, but there are 4 that we want to focus a bit on right now. And that's one is safety and security. Another is elections and what's going on. And number 3 is our Constitution and how well are our elected officials and appointed officials following the Constitution. And number 4, the children, indoctrination, trafficking, a variety of things with
The
the children.
amendments.
We want to do a better job for them
Yes.
and their families. And so in that regard, we always have some general discussions about a variety of topics about where things are. We may choose today to jump into 1 or 2 and go a little deeper, but we'll give you a sense. And Dana's really good at keeping his finger on the pulse and giving us an update, if you will. Um, and Scott is also an expert in a whole host of things.
Is he?
And one of the things to begin with is the separation of church and state.
Right on.
Can you give us a thumbnail of what you told us last night?
Why don't we start with that? Scott, why don't you break down a little bit about what we were talking about last night when it comes to church and state and us coming back together as a country? It was excellent, by the way. You're on mute, Scott.
Earth to Scott.
Do, 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 do.
Uh,
He's
he,
having he's having
there
some.
we
There
go.
we
Day
go.
just keeps getting better and better and better, doesn't it?
That's okay. I
Yeah.
told you. Well, we started off with we're all having problems with technology, so
Yeah.
which is
Well,
true.
the biggest thing about separation of church and state is it is a myth because I mean, I'm amazed at how many people actually think that it's written in the Constitution when it's not. It came from a letter that Thomas Jefferson responded to a church group, and their fear was that one church was going to be the quote unquote church of the country, and he was reassuring them that the church, there is a separation of the church from the state, that they're not going to have a state run religion. That's all they wanted, and the framers wanted. They didn't want a church of England, they didn't want a church of the United States. They wanted you to be able to worship as you wanted to worship in freedom. So that whole, it's not freedom from religion, it's freedom of religion, and that's the biggest fallacy that most people think. um Praying in school shouldn't be outlawed, all those things, and the actual concept of separation of church and state really didn't get much groundwork until in the 1940s, when the Supreme Court ruled that that was a thing. So there was no precedent. They just decided to take it upon themselves back in the 40s to say, hey, there's a separation there, and it shouldn't be that way.
You know, Scott, you just hit on something because all of the information that we've been getting, we've been really digging into the Constitution, the Federalist Papers, the Bill of Rights. We're doing a huge study on this. And actually, we'll be doing training on this where people will be able to get a certificate from us through an LMS course that people will be able to take. But taking the Bible and taking the founding of this country out of our schools is unconstitutional.
And it was a mistake.
big mistake, but it's unconstitutional. And as we go through, we'll be able to petition for redress of grievances and put back the Constitution. That's what our mission is to put the Constitution back into our society. And we're talking about religion. I'm not talking about putting a culture back into our Constitution. I'm talking about putting a religion, okay, back into it. And I'll say it this way: Islam is not a religion, it is a culture. And if people are going to come to the United States, they assimilate to our, have a religion, but you don't change our culture. Is that about right, Charlie?
Yeah, yeah, it
Yep.
absolutely is. And Islam, the beauty of freedom of religion is you can believe whatever you want. You just don't get to force it on anybody else.
Right. That's a
And the
culture.
only religion that forces itself on someone else is Islam.
Yep. And
Well,
we'll have a whole thing on that when we get to it. Go ahead, Scott.
that crazy woman that's out there running for the governorship in Wisconsin. What's her name? Florence something or other. I read a story about her. I saw her on the TV the other day, and she was all about defunding the police. And they asked her to her face on a TV interview, "Oh, no, 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 I'm not for that. I'm not for that." And now there's another thing she posted apparently several years ago. We need to outlaw Thanksgiving because some people have problems and it makes them feel bad. And so they asked her again, "Well, you wanting to outlaw Thanksgiving?" "Oh, no, no, I'm not wanting to outlaw things." What these people say, and they've already
Really do
said
two different things.
they've said what they really want, and now they're trying to dance around it to make themselves look better. I went on the Democratic Socialists of America website today. I was watching something from Beck, and he gave the address, and I went on there and started reading all the communist garbage that's on that thing. Defunding the police, getting rid of the police, getting rid of ICE, getting rid of borders, and all that crap is on there, and they tell you exactly what they're going to do. And
Getting rid of the
communism,
Senate and getting rid of the Supreme Court
all
and
of it, but
and the
it's
presidency.
communism and it's ungodly and it's atheistic and it's all designed to destroy the most powerful and the greatest country on the earth, and that's us. And
It's a
and
big push to destroy us.
and that people are, that all these kids are, "Oh, socialism, yay." They have no idea how many millions of people Stalin and Mao killed. Communism killed millions and millions and millions of people.
Yeah, so did
uh,
Fauci.
and they just have no idea, and they sit there with their little iPhones and their $150 shoes, and they got all these little gadgets, they got TVs, and they got all these things. They're not going to have it if it's communism. All that stuff is going to be taken away.
They're
I
not
saw
going
an
to
You
have it
interview.
if it's they're not going to have it if it's socialism.
right.
I
You've
saw an
got to have
interview
capitalism
last
to
night.
fund it.
There was an interview last night, and the guy who had supported Mondami, and he
Hmm.
was ticked off because now he's doxxed because Mondami listed all those people who are going to be under this little whatever French word tax he's got,
Yep.
and he was all upset because he supported Mamdami, and now Mamdami has doxed him, and he's afraid because of what happened to that medical CEO 15 months ago getting gunned down. He's
Yep.
afraid some whack job's going to come to his house. They don't care about the socialism; they just care when it impacts them. That's the bad thing about it.
And it's
Well,
the
that
ignorance of the youth today and young adults, not just really young kids, that don't know that that's what socialism is all about. And they don't realize that USSR had the word Socialist Republic in it.
Mhm.
It's just uh, a shame how and undereducated the people are that are going to be running this country, and already are, because it's been more than one generation that's been miseducated and undereducated intentionally.
Well, I go one better. When I was in Germany, of course, I was in West Germany, and the country next to us was the DDR, East Germany, the Deutsche Democratic Republic. There was nothing democratic about East Germany, but by golly, they claimed they were.
well, let's
Right.
take let's take our education system today, and then we'll kind of, first off, a lot of people did not vote. Okay, they didn't even know there was a primary. So I beg you to pass these Mountain Patriot podcasts along. We're going to keep you up to date and who's who, and we're going to have all the candidates on here. We don't care what party they're from, but you get a chance to hear for yourself. If I get another phone call today that says who's running and who should I vote for, I mean, and it's a lot of people, and a lot of it has to do with they think they don't have time, but you got to make time. I'm going to tell a little story about a little boy and a little girl in the fourth grade, and they were running for class president. And one little boy said, "You know what we're going to do? We're going to get this, we're going to get that, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that." And he has his whole thing lined up. And the little girl turns around and says, "And we're going to have all day recess, and we're going to get free candy, and we're going to get free cookies and everything else." And then they had a vote. The entire class voted for the girl that was giving away the free cookies and the free recess and the free everything else. Why is that? You know,
Socialism.
won in a landslide. And the teacher says, "Well, how are you going to pay for it?" She says, "It doesn't make a difference. I just wanted to win."
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we are. But folks, please pass this on. There are three candidates that are running, okay, for the Senate today. And there's a lot of running for Congress in different districts that there are uh,
In the primary.
in the primaries at the polls today. And sadly enough, there was only when I went on Saturday, I knew I had a lot to do today, and I usually don't vote early. I usually vote on election day, but there was a little over 300 people that had voted, and that's what 4 days before. And I think Scott, you said there was about 25 people that
At,
were
at
there for.
my regular polling place, I went in at 10 o'clock. Of course, polls opened at 6.
Right.
I was number 23, and two people were coming in as I was leaving. So that means they were averaging 6 people an hour, which is pathetic.
Incredible. Incredible. All right, Charlie, we've covered a little bit about the elections. What's the next thing we need to talk about?
Yeah, yeah.
We'll talk about the amendments.
Well, we'll get to the amendments, but the safety issue, uh,
Yo,
what we're all
this is
about
big.
is being safe. We have an expectation of being safe. That's what the government's purpose is, to keep us safe. And we don't see that at all. So all we can do is get prepared
Right.
for water, food, electricity, batteries, all of these things. You have no choice but to look towards surviving the gap in that chaos will cause if chaos comes.
We're pretty
And
sure that could happen.
yeah, yeah, and the Islamists and others figure they can. There's Rick's book right there that he's holding up. The
We
the
all have it.
Thinking Prepper. Yeah, and he covers just about everything. Um,
Yeah.
and we're we're in a position where we don't know what's going to happen. So let's be prepared. That's the old Boy Scout motto.
Be
Be
prepared.
prepared. That applies to all of us. And uh, and we see a lot of things like fires. One of our friends just had his house burned down to nothing in the Spokane fire out in the state of Washington.
And he's the guy, Charlie, that works with the Constitution with us. There's
Right.
nobody that knows it better than he does. And he calls me Saturday night and says, "I can't make Monday's meeting because my house is burned to the ground. My family is safe. So I'm going to have to put off this Monday because it's in God's hands." Wow.
And he said he'll be there next Monday.
Yep.
So he's an optimist besides an expert.
Over 3,200 acres that I saw that was out of control. And that was yesterday. And the fire was set. So that's why we want to say be prepared. It's not a lightning strike. There's people that are going out there, folks, and they're setting things on fire. We just had this situation a couple weeks ago when Charlie came back from Michigan
Yeah.
Okay. And Charlie, you drove all the way home, could only see about 100 or 200 feet in front of it because of the smoke. And then we smelled it all the way here from the plastic and the rubber and the chemicals. And ugh,
Yeah, I woke up in the Upper Peninsula and came out of the motel, and there's ash settling on the car.
unbelievable.
And that's from Canada and Minnesota,
Hmm.
all the way to Michigan. And it's you don't know where the emergency is going to come from.
Correct.
So the more you get prepared, uh, the better. Um,
Chemtrails, like today.
okay, well, let's talk about chemtrails a little bit. What's
Be-
what's your observation on today?
Well, I went outside. Well, first of all, I get a text this morning from a good friend of mine, a brother named Rob. He says, "Did you see the black stuff that was in the air this morning?" Okay. And by the time I got out, I didn't. So by the time I'm going to the gym, I'm watching X's and crisscrosses. And if you all notice, the weather is completely different. And people go, oh, chemtrails. There's contrails. That's the ice trails. There are chemtrails, barium, aluminum, all kinds of garbage that they spray all over us. How many people have noticed the difference in butterflies? Honeybees, moths. I mean, your plants, your vegetation. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. We are literally being poisoned by our own government. If you do not believe me, go look it up. We tell everybody, do your own research. But today, I've never seen two clouds go this way and then one of them crisscrosses. But they just explode. They were all over the sky this morning. It's not as bad today as it has been in the past, but I haven't been outside in the last hour. But it was beautiful blue sky, and all of a sudden there's chemtrails all over the place. And when we had the fire a couple weeks ago, I'm going to ask every one of you, and I know you're going to go like this when I do this. You're going to lick your lips and go, "Yeah, I could taste it." How many of you all could taste and smell that stuff a couple weeks ago? And you'll notice that there's going to be a weather pattern more than likely coming in where we get a giant thunderstorm. We had a tornado here, what, a week and a half ago, 2 miles down the road from us. So there is all kinds of weather modification, and I'll kind of leave it at that. But that's why we are
Uh,
very hooked up. If you need a radio pre-programmed and you want us to teach you, go to our Mountain Patriots MTN PATS site, fill out one of the forms that are there, say that you want us to get back with you, that you have some questions or you need some guidance or you'd like to get a book, okay, from us. They're 19.95, $20. This will be the best book that you ever read, to be prepared for, most importantly because it talks about your mindset first. But if you need anything, radio, uh, what you need in a bug out bag, what you need in a home bag, what supplies that you need, how to purify your water, we do cover all of that. Charlie?
yeah, and so let's talk about the three amendments that are coming up on the next election.
Mhm.
There were four amendments. The first one being the Second Amendment challenge and taking away our guns.
We're going to
That
get
had
that back.
a vote on it this spring.
Right.
But there's three left, and those three amendments have would have a terrible impact on us if they pass. So let's talk first about the abortion amendment. Um, tell us a little bit about where that stands, if you have a sense of that.
Scott, do you want to talk about it or would you like me to talk about it?
You can talk about that one. I'll be glad to talk
Okay.
about the voting one.
Okay. I'm going to break it down in a nutshell. Um, and I'm going to start by prefacing it with a question. All right. You're a mom and you've got a 10-year-old son, and I don't like your 10-year-old son. So I decide to go over to your house, or I send somebody to your house, and we take your son out. Is that murder? Charlie, what would you say?
Yeah, of course.
Based on this bill, that's a late term abortion.
Yeah. And so when does life begin?
When does life
And
begin?
I listened to Charlie Kirk. And by the way, you know that he's been killed, but he has left behind a legacy of all sorts of videos, and they're
They're all
totally worth
relevant.
listening to. And what he says is that begins at conception because there is a third DNA that's created.
A spark.
The fathers, the mothers, and the third one that's created is the baby,
Yep.
whatever you call it. Doesn't matter. It's a
It's
new
life.
life that has just been determined what your eye color is, what your hair color is, what a whole host of things about you are, and that's where the the soup starts to come together and
Right.
create life.
Right.
And there when they say it's my body, my choice, it's really a third person. It's not, and we being a spiritual and religious group believe that, well, if you're a third person, you're a human, you're created at that moment. That's when life begins, and life has the right to live.
Absolutely.
And and then the argument begins.
Well, Charlie,
And people say that, well, it's just a blob of cells. And then you try and pin down, well, when does that blob of cells become a person? So it's a mealy mouth description, all of which is unscientific. The only scientific part there is determining, clarifying that there's a new person in the woman's body, uh, uh, and proof is the DNA.
right. And we'll
So,
open this up. What does this open up? Um,
Well,
First
I
of all,
can tell
I
you
don't know
what
how
it opens up.
we're going to get there, but there's a whole lot of that's going on. I don't I have not met a woman who has gone, yeah, that was one of the greatest things I've ever done. You carry that with you. Okay. And I'm not a woman. Okay. But it was okay. It's my body, my choice until the vaccine came out, if you remember that. Then I could lose everything. But when this opens up such a can of evil. Okay, I'm just going to say it. This is evil. This is demonic. These are rituals. This isn't Christianity. This isn't hope. This isn't God. This isn't Yeshua, Yahuwah, however you want. This is satanic. Okay, that's how I see it. And um, if I'll tell you this, doing all the study that we've done on children, this is another way to sell body parts. This is another way. A lot of these abortions, they don't go anywhere except you, a woman lives with that pain, and somebody else is profiting off of that. One of the most sick things about this is in this, and we're going to get we have experts coming on with this, but if 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 somebody a young lady gets pregnant and they have and their I'm going to call it their handler says you're going to get an abortion, they can take that girl anywhere, anywhere, and have an abortion. There are no criminal charges for anything that gets botched up in that. The mechanic down the street can do it.
in
Okay, for
Virginia,
that matter. Huh?
in Virginia, in
In
Virginia,
Virginia. Okay.
if that
There's
passes.
no criminal charges. Now, if somebody shot that mom and they were carrying a baby, it would be a double homicide. Okay, but there's no repercussions for anything that happens to that child. And what's worse is not worse, but to go in with the worseness of it is the fact that the parents don't need to be told. So we're the ones that are raising our children a certain way, and that person or persons can turn around and say, you don't have to say anything to your parents. Okay, this is medical freedom. Okay, so there's a lot more to that, and we're going to go down this big rabbit hole on what this really means. This is just an overview, but we're going to go down that rabbit hole with quite a few people. We've got Bob Good, one of our former legislators. He'll be here next week. Uh, we have Pastor Travis Witt that'll be on with us. We have Dolores Oates, our fantastic delegate with Frederick County and Warren County. We have a lot of different people that are coming on here to talk about this. So we'll go down that rabbit hole a little deeper. Scott, you want to take it a little bit further?
Well, I was just going to bring up one of the points when Charlie was talking about, and you asked them when life begins. There's a guy named Pete Singer, I think that's his name, and this is one of the people that I heard about when Obama was president. They don't believe that a human being is a human being until they are self-aware. So until you can look in the mirror and see yourself and say, "Hey, that's me," you're not a human being. And they were advocating that you could kill a child up to 2 years old because
Right.
they were not a real human being because they were not self-aware. That is demonic, and that is where all this crap leads to. And then if they get this constitutional amendment passed in Virginia, they're wanting to push next year for euthanasia.
Euthanasia.
I Our pastor, he at my church, he does hospice. He's a hospice pastor now, apparently, and his wife told the story the other day. There was a guy, his wife was dying of cancer, and his son had cancer and was terminal, and he and his son were going to take a trip to Canada. And when asked why, thought maybe it was the last time we could bond or whatever. No, we're going to Canada because they have euthanasia up there, and they're going up there for his son to kill himself. And I mean, that's horrible. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Every life is precious, no matter
Every life is
whose life
precious.
it is.
And I'll tell you, I mean,
I just want to say one thing about the motivation behind abortions, and Dana said part of it. That's only part of it. I believe that abortions are created by men so that they can have inconsequential sex. That's
Exactly.
simple. That's simple.
Well, look at Britney Spears.
oh,
She had that abortion when she got pregnant by Justin Timberlake. Of course, it worked out fine for him, but I have to think that all that mental anguish and all the things that have happened to that girl since that time, I mean that
there's so much more
traumatized
to
her and
that.
it affected her. And it's for someone that gets that, it's not a walk in there and all that's done. Let's go on with our lives. I mean, it leaves deep emotional scars for years.
I'm going
Yeah.
to share something personal, and I haven't gone out and told everybody this. I lost my ex-wife to suicide, who had at least four, and one of them was mine, and I had no choice. She did it without me. Okay. And I fought my tail off, you know, he's going, what is it? And I was married. I'm going, holy cow. We've dealt with suicides. My wife Barbara, she's dealt with a suicide. My ex-wife Sue, she's dealt with a suicide. There's so many things that are happening, and then you get into all these government programs too that we won't touch on much today. But MK Ultra, Project Monarch, mainstream media that tells everybody everything is okay, and it's not. Elections have consequences, guys, and we're talking right now in November the difference literally between life and death of people and life and death of this country. And I can't talk about this. I can only deal with this kind of subject for so long because for my personal self, it's this is a a very hard topic for me, very hard topic. You know what else do we have, Charlie?
Well, the other amendment is about gays and liberals, gays and lesbians, um,
Marriage.
the gay marriage, and they can already get married, but what she wants to do is codify it in the state so that no one can resist it, no one can state their opinion about it, I
including the
don't know much
pastors that
more
are
about
marrying
that
them.
particular amendment than that, but I know it enough that um, I don't want to see it.
No. And then we've got
Well,
the
I mean,
felons.
they want to be able to force a pastor to marry
Exactly.
somebody like that. I mean, I would never do it, and I don't care. I'm not going to do it. You do you. That's my philosophy in life. I'll tell you what the Word of God says. You do you. You're the one that's going to have to answer for it later down the road.
Exactly
But
right. But you know
Right.
what, Scott? They can rip
live your
everything
life
away
the
from
way
you.
you want to, but don't force me to go along with your delusion.
But that's the law. That as
Yeah.
soon as it's going to be, that's the law. Okay. You don't want to make a cake for somebody. We're going to destroy you. Okay. We've seen it over and over. And then the third
I've
one,
mentioned I've mentioned this before that Chris Plant has a
Chris
quote that I
Plant,
love, and
big
that
tip.
is, if a liberal sees something they don't want, they'll make it illegal. If
Mhm.
they see something they like, they'll make it mandatory.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
There's no
And
freedom
and
in
it,
there at
and
all.
if it wasn't for the left having no standards, they wouldn't have any standards at all, or something like
Exactly.
that.
Bingo. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
You
Go
know,
ahead. You want to talk about the third one?
I wanted, and I'm going to let Scott touch on it because I'll preface this conversation by saying Scambergler just let out, from what I understand, what I'm reading and hearing, there's 60,000 people that are going to be allowed to vote that have been felons. You want to take it from there, Scott?
Well, they want to put the constitutional amendment that after, I guess, you've served your sentence and you're a convicted felon, they give you your rights back. What all rights? I don't know if that's including the firearms or whatever. As a correctional officer for 36 years, I have definitely have feelings on this. Um, I think there are certain crimes that if you commit them, then you should not have any rights back. For some of these people, I don't think they should ever get out of prison.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
it why make it a constitutional right when all it already exists? They can petition the governor to get their rights reinstated,
I
and
may
Right.
be wrong, Scott, but I think
and the
that's kind of what's
use it
happening with these
the
60,000.
the governor just reinstated the rights of all those people. The governor previous, Mr. Northam, he gave all those felons their rights back. The governor can do that. They don't need a constitutional amendment. It should be done on a case by case basis. What was your crime? What have you done? I'm sorry, but I just there are people that there are certain crimes. If you're a child molester, then the heck with you. I have no sympathy for you whatsoever. I think you should be in prison for the rest of your life. I actually think they should be executed, but that's my position.
Mhm.
But you know, we don't need a constitutional amendment because there are already things in place that a convicted felon can do that. All they're looking at is extra votes because they assume that if we give them all their rights to vote back or all their rights back to vote, they're going to vote Democrat and it's more votes for us. That's the only reason for this, period. It is a way to uh, uh, sway elections and get more Democratic votes. That's all it is.
It's going to fail. This is going to fail. There's a couple things that are coming out. We might as well roll into it. The Save America Act, I firmly believe, and you guys have heard me say this over and over. I firmly believe that eventually the Save Act will be passed. Okay. I think a lot of it has to do with timing. Um, fools rush in. And with everything that's going on right now, before that SAVE Act gets passed, which becomes a legal battle anyway, people actually have to see what's really happening right now. They have to see what's going on with abortion and abortion amendments. If they don't know that today is primary day, you can see how much stuff that people really don't know. So we have an election coming in November. So, what kind of information is coming out now? Dr. Fauci is a big one. I'm looking on MSN today, and they're using different things on. There's 8 things that Dr. Fauci didn't do. I don't care if Dr. Fauci said or didn't say anything. He and what's his name? Francis Collins and why is he slipping my name? It'll come back to me in a second. Ralph Barrick. They developed that gain of function, okay, to create an airborne pandemic to use for war and so
A
forth. So
bioweapon.
they developed a bioweapon. And this guy, not only they're saying, well, he never told Trump to shut down the states. No, the mainstream media was put into place with Dr. Fauci to make sure that everybody was scared enough that they would stay home, okay, and wear a mask and all this other garbage made absolutely no sense. Anybody that was a critical thinker kind of figured this out in the first 2 weeks. Okay. Then they started with the injection. Okay. Now, here's another one that is unconstitutional. It can't happen again. Charlie, we really like you, but you have until this date to get the injection or you lose your job or your kid. And then you're thinking, wow, there goes my benefits. My kids don't go to school. I lose my house. I lose my car. Oh, and by the way, while you're doing that, you can't go to church either. Okay, so we're going to tell you where you can go, where you can't go, but you can go to Walmart and you can go get alcohol.
Yeah, you can go to the ABC store,
You can
buy
go to
all
the
the booze you
ABC store,
want.
you can go to strip club, you can go to Walmart, but you got to stand 6 feet apart. But if you do not get that injection, we're going to take everything that you have on a mandate. And people do not realize that the Constitution is not a mandate. Yet they locked people up for that same thing. You don't know how many times I got thrown out of Costco? Every time I went into Costco, you have to wear a mask. Okay. Why do I have to wear a mask? I mean, because you're going to kill somebody. So now you got these people on the left screaming and yelling at you because
But they've been inoculated. So
they've been inoculated, indoctrinated. But you know what, Charlie? You didn't take that jab, so you're going to kill me and you're going to kill my family. And I hope because you didn't take the jab that your family dies because you're the problem. You're the one that didn't wear the mask and why I can't go see my grandparents and why I can't, why my kids can't see the grandparents.
it doesn't even stand up to logic.
It doesn't stand up to any logic. And it's
No.
the same crap that they're going to. I'm leading in with this because this is the same crap that they're doing to us coming November. Whatever they say now becomes a law. Okay. They're taking away all of our freedom. And this is exactly why we're doing Constitution Compliance Committee so that our elected officials cannot overstep their bounds. Go ahead, Charlie. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, that's why we're one of our ministries is the Constitution
Absolutely. And
because
education.
yeah, because it's freedom, independence, and uh, those things that we hold dear that are being taken from
Liberty.
us little by little, and so the Constitution itself, the U.S. Constitution, is a list of things that the government cannot do,
But they
and
do.
and an enumerated list of things they can do or are expected to do,
Enumerated.
and the rest that if they're not mentioned go to the states and to we the people. And we need to, they get away with things that are unconstitutional because somebody says, "Oh, that's unconstitutional." Well, they say everything, but so what? You
Yeah,
know, they
everything that's
unless
constitutional isn't.
unless somebody calls them on it, nothing happens. And unless that person who calls them on it has a process in place to do something about it, to remove them from office, in addition to and other than the ballot box, they well, tell me what you mean by that.
It's money because they can come after you and put you through like they did with J6, and you're spending all of this money to fight back to prove your constitutional right.
Right, right.
And you don't have
Well,
the
it's the
money for that.
same. It's just look what they did with what they have done and are doing with the Second Amendment. Shall not be infringed means shall not be infringed. But then they say, oh, we don't need weapons of war on the street. My 1861 Springfield that I use at reenactments is a weapon of war. I have that 2-foot bayonet stuck on the end of it. It's a weapon of war. They're not going after it. It's only one shot, but let's face facts, it's still a working weapon. That was a weapon of war. They weren't about that. They want to take the most popular gun off the streets. And I kind of think it's funny after what they did in Virginia here when they tried to enact those bans and they passed those laws. The Democratic legislature in Virginia and the Democratic governor of Virginia trying to get the AR-15 off the street because it was a weapon of war. By the things that they did and the laws that they passed and signed, they put more AR-15s on the street in the month of June than they would have ever imagined. I read statistics. The gun sales exploded this year in the first half of this year, and it was like phenomenal amounts of guns got sold in Virginia
Greatest
between
gun
January and
salesperson ever.
June.
Never get a
And
Scamberger.
the thing that they tried to prevent, they put in a lot of it, from what I read, was first-time gun buyers coming in saying, can you tell me about this? I want a new gun.
Right.
So they created a bigger monster than they had on their hands already.
I'm going to show you something really cool. Do you know what this is? This is called a gimbal. And this is so that I can go out and I can hook my phone to it and I can do an interview. But you know what this also can be? I can beat you over the head with it. This is a war weapon because I can beat you up. Do you know what this is right here? This is an assault pen. I bought this special from a 2A dealer. I got an assault pen because it's got the name of the dealer on here. Wouldn't that make that an assault pen, Charlie? So
Probably would.
anything can be a weapon. I could be sitting at a barbecue and stab you with a fork. It's an assault fork. you
Great
know,
Britain is Great Britain is the prime example. They took the
look at
guns
it.
away from the people. Don't even give the cops guns, and now everybody's getting stabbed to death. And then they came out with that campaign a month or so ago, telling people if you're in the middle of a situation and somebody's got a knife and they're stabbing, run away. If you
Yep.
can't run away, hide and call the police. Call the unarmed police to come in and disarm an idiot who's got a knife. Yeah, that's real brainiac stuff right
Well, hold
there.
on. We're smarter than that. We are so much smarter than that, Scott, because now we have social workers that'll come and help us out and maybe talk to somebody about how their feelings, and maybe they can talk them out of killing somebody and them.
And that brings up another point about the giving the felons the rights back.
Oh God.
Starting in the 60s with John F. Kennedy, they were pushing to take the mentally ill out of hospitals and give them their
Yes.
dignity back. And I'm all for about treating people with dignity and letting you have your life and all that. But they don't have mental facilities to place people in. So
Not
where
anymore.
do these people go?
Not anymore. The streets.
No, after the streets, when they've committed their crimes, where do
Back
they
to
go?
jail. Do
They
not
go
do a
into the
passcode. Do not
jails
collect
and the
200.
prisons. The majority of the people in your jails and prisons have some type of mental illness. And you want to give these people their rights back so that they can get firearms and they can go vote. You are out of your mind.
Let me
They
ask
they
this.
view jail as three hots in a cot.
Absolutely. So we've covered a lot, guys. Now, we've covered about I brought up the fact that Trump has got an executive order that goes with executive order 13848, which states that there's been any foreign interference, he can put in executive order 13848 to turn us over to paper ballots, right? 1 day voting, citizens. I mean, I had to show my ID the other day.
Virginia
Okay.
is one of the only ones that requires it.
Right.
Or they
Exactly.
don't require it if you fill out the affidavit. That's the problem.
That's
Correct.
true too.
But you know what? Now that we've covered a lot of these different things, you can see what consequences these elections have. So, Charlie, do you want to tell people what you and I and the Mountain Patriots have planned as far as Mark Cook's training that we're working on and the fact we need some help with that? We'll cover that.
Sure, sure. If all of a sudden we have paper ballots, it doesn't sound reasonable that there's going to be any way that they can be counted properly. And we know for a fact there have been people training people on how to count ballots properly with the oversight of the Democrats and the Republicans at the
Both
same
parties.
time, with about five people at a table, and being able to go through something like 15,000 ballots in a short period of time, and they figure out how many tables you need. It's all uh, explained to us and demonstrated to us, and Mark Cook is going around training people how to do the ballot counting, so that if that comes about, it's not a surprise, and it's a very basic way of doing the counting, and it requires a little bit of training and cooperation, and the feeling is that there'll be plenty of people willing to cooperate,
We
go
want
in
you.
and count the ballots the night of the election.
Correct.
You know, not for 2 weeks past the election, the night of the election, and that just takes a little forethought um, and prediction of how many people are going to vote there and setting up that many tables. And, you know, most of these elections, not all, but a lot of them, are in gymnasiums, a
Hmm.
huge open space that can be set up to count the ballots, and with the proper oversight, it can be done. I mean, we used to do it years ago,
Hmm.
and then they get the ballots in on time. Then the system was since set up to cheat, to drag things on so that things can be slipped in as needed. You know, it's always kind of irritated me when I see all of the results, razor thin difference,
And then go,
and when they win, and they switch very easily, but that small difference just means to me that they've figured out how many votes they need to cheat just to win.
absolutely.
And it reminded me of what John Fitzgerald Kennedy's father told him about Chicago when JFK complained to his dad that I didn't get a landslide in Chicago. And his dad said, I didn't pay for a landslide. That's exactly how it works. You know, a handful of votes make the difference. So there's so many ways that the system is set up to cheat that we can't believe the results.
Right.
But we have no choice. Now, the SAVE Act and all of those things that Trump is trying to do is our choice,
Hmm.
that we need to get in there and make the change. If and it's been my thought all along that if we lose the ability to have an honest election, and we lose the ability of our children to think critically and not be indoctrinated,
We're gone.
we've lost this country.
Yep.
There's no hope.
Is it worth
So
it for this country? Is it worth a couple days, people? Is it worth 1 or 2 days a week, a couple hours a day to do this stuff? And I'll point something out. I do a greeter. I've gone door knocking. I've done greeting. I've done meetings. We've done conferences. I'm a poll watcher. Charlie, same thing. He's done conferences. He's done planning commission. He's done poll watcher. Scott, he's done all the same things that we does, and he's an officer of elections. He's part of the school board. We have a whole group of people that love this country, that in the Mountain Patriot group, that want this country to survive. We want this not just to survive, we want it to thrive. And we're going to be gone a whole heck of a lot longer than we're going to be here. Okay. And I've got more days behind me than I do ahead of me. So I'm not doing this for me. Okay. At my age, I want to make sure that your children and your family has life, liberty, and they get the opportunity, the pursuit of happiness, and get a good, critical, God fearing education and the love of other people, mankind, and this country. I can't say it any differently than that. Scott, you want to
Dan,
throw anything in here about this? Or Charlie, go ahead.
yeah, I was just going to say, is there any last topic that we wrap this up with?
I think we've covered a lot. And I want to find out what Scott, if because he's been officer of election and what he thinks about our hand counting of ballots. Because I know we've all been through, we just got to go through finish the training. Scott, you got anything?
Yeah, and I've said this before. The biggest thing I realized when I was an officer of election was just how blissfully ignorant the American population is. I mean, there were the people that are serious and they come in and they vote all the time. But even some of those that were serious, and I know I laugh about it now, but the guy that came in who during the presidential Democratic primary and got ticked off because Trump
Where's Trump?
wasn't on the ballot. I'm like, it's a Democratic primary. Well, I don't want to vote for these Democrats. I want to vote for Trump. But then they can come back in November. You know, it just amazes me how blissfully ignorant and uneducated about things people are. And even when it comes to voting, people vote for. I mean, even my wife, when Bill Clinton was running, she said, "Oh, he's a pretty good looking man." I said, "You voted for Clinton, didn't you?" She said, "No, I didn't vote for Clinton." I said, "I guarantee you did because you thought he was a good looking man." And she swears I'm down. She didn't vote for him, but I think she did. But we they liked
Oh,
Obama
he's
because he
funny.
was. How did Biden put it? He was clean and all that stuff.
He was
He
a
he
clean
he
black man,
he could speak very well and he was very polished
articulate.
and people flocked to that, but I knew what he was and I knew what he wanted to do to the country, which is why I didn't vote for him. I don't care what color you are. i
I
want
don't
i
either.
want to know what you're going to do to my country, and I
Yep.
knew what the outcome would be. So
And
I it's just
stupid is a choice.
Stupid
people
is a
need to
choice.
really it is people really need to educate themselves, and I think that these people are so busy on their cell phones. Like, you go to a restaurant, I've made a point of not taking my phone into the restaurant
So you
anymore,
can talk.
and I sit around and I watch all the other people and they're all on their phones and they're not talking. It's just craziness.
Right. Well,
And
I'll wrap it up with this. We have not only do we have this November election, now you have time. We have 91 days before the November election. Mountain Patriots is dedicated to saving, serving, and preserving our state, our county, our country. Okay. I want you to reach out. If you've heard something today that you like, you might not like something, but you're going, wow, I agree with those guys on a lot of points. Go to our mtnpats.com website. Put your information in and say, I want to help. We are going to have we're going to have candidates that we love, and we're going to have candidates that we're not happy about. But we want people to hear the candidates and be able to make their own choices. So anyone that's running for office, especially here in Frederick County, is going to get they're going to get our time. They're going to get the opportunity to talk to us personally, shake our hands, meet us, hug us, whatever they want to do, and be on this podcast to explain to you why they should be your candidate of choice. So that I can't go and we can't do much better than that. But when we do that, we also are going to need help at the polls, putting up whoever you're for, putting up your signs, getting the word out, writing articles to the paper, letting people know how you feel. And we have a board of supervisors election. My feeling is we have a pretty good board of supervisors, but there's some really good people that are going to be running against some of the board of supervisors. We're going to give those folks a chance and an opportunity to explain to you who they are as well. And a lot of these people we hope will become mountain patriots. And I'm going to end it with this because one of the things that I keep hearing, and it keeps blowing up my phone, is data centers. We didn't talk about this today, but we've had our board of supervisors out there. Guys, right now, there's no data centers. Let's concentrate on what we need to concentrate on now, which is our county, what we're looking for the county, the state, and the country. Let's concentrate on who's running for Senate, who's running for Congress, and get that stuff done. Who's running for our board of supervisors, and not, oh, well, I heard such and such is for the data centers. It goes so much further than just data centers. Data centers is off the table. Let's bring that back at another time. So I'm pretty much talked out today. I think we covered a lot of very, very pertinent information. Scott, do you have any last words before I turn it over to Charlie for his comments and prayer?
Nope, I'm good.
Guys, I love talking with you all. And I know that Batgirl will do a phenomenal job putting this together. Make sure, again, you go to mtnpats.com. If you can donate to us, that would be great. And Charlie, I'm going to turn it over to you since we are a constitutional ministry. And I want to thank everybody for watching today. God bless you all.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for this beautiful world. Thank you for our founding fathers. Thank you for this country that you've given us. And thank you for the patriots who are willing to care for it. Thank you for inspiring our founders to create this beautiful republic. Please help us to keep it as the aspiring place to live. Please give us the wisdom to do the right things, the common sense to judge wisely, the energy to never give up, and your unending grace in which we take comfort. Jesus, in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And as we say at the end of every podcast, this one
Is in the book.
in the book. Have a blessed day, everybody.